Hi guys, Dr. Gillard back for part 2 of the story of Bill and the failed posterior fusion. These are his real images. So let's go over these things. Now these are CT scans. Now if you haven't reviewed my video on how to read your MRI, please go do that first because I'm not going to teach too much here. And this is a CT scan, but we'll look at an MRI, so it's kind of similar. So this is ONUS 2.5. So you can download this for free. Osirix for Mac. I'm not a Mac person, so I don't know too much about that. But ONUS 2.5 is free version. It's awesome. You can do just about everything you need to do without spending the big money and getting the professional version. So I loaded his images up here. And the first thing, there's 4 images. First thing you do is you open up these things. And that shows all the images. And you load up a from the side view on this side. There's 4 of them. Just double click anywhere and they turn into a single image. And then use your up and down arrow key. I don't use a mouse, but you could probably use a mouse, I'm sure. And you can pan between the different slices. Remember, this is a view from the sagittal view. Belly's out here, low back's over here. Here's the sacrum. Oops, I got a little notification. Sorry about that. Windows always wants to update, doesn't it? I need to turn that off. Anyway, here's the sacrum, right? Sacral canal. It's the base of the tower. Then you have L5, L4, L3, L2. I can pull it down. Oh, I can't. That's as high as it goes. And the discs, now we can't see the discs very good on CT, but we can see these big spaces. Remember, these are really abnormally large spaces we talked about in the last video. So vertebral body. Now, this is a cut right through between the pedicles. We can't see the pedicles, but we can see the central vertebral canal here, central spinal canal. And it's a little narrower than normal, but it's not bad. It's a good looking canal here. And how do I know, how can I prove that I'm in the middle? Well, let's do this trick. And this is what you should do. After you, with MRI too, get the sagittal up and running, go to view, hit the very top one, split the current view. Okay, it brings up another screen. Now open up the different images. I'm going to pull this down to match this one. See, this one is down, so I'll be in the same vicinity. And let's start with a stack. There's a whole bunch of different images. And don't be frustrated because sometimes these images, the pictures here don't match up with really what the images are. See how that says it's a sagittal view? It's really not a sagittal view. It's an axial view. 4 views, get rid of that by double clicking. And the minute that comes up, we have a nice long cut line that pops up. So whatever this cut line goes through is the view from overhead on this side. Okay, so if I left click over here and I can march down, I don't know how this is not only 10 images, so it's just a section. So it's looking up at the L3, well, L2 disc, but there's the L3 vertebral body. Let me blow that up. I guess I can talk a little bit about this. All right, so now we have a cut right through the vertebral body. So here's the pedicles I was talking about. Why don't I see the pedicles here? Is because the cut line is going right between the pedicles. How do I prove that? I can left click over here and just go down or up, and there's the cut line. See, now you can see over here how we're right between the 2 pedicles in the vertebral canal here. And I can kind of, let's march over to the left, is over here. I can even see the intervertebral foramen. See him right here? How come I don't see him here? Well, because I'm cut through the pedicles. If I want to see him there, I left click right here, and then I march down. Let's go down and put the cut through there. See, now I'm right through the top part of the IVF. See how that works? So you can kind of navigate your way around. So I see what they did. They have a whole bunch of little ones. Let's try to go down to this image. Don't want to spend too much time. I don't want to make this too big. Let's pull this up. All right, so now where are we? You tell me where we are. Well, it's a cut. Look at the cut line over here. It's right through the L4 disc. Right? So here's a shadow of the disc. You can see the outside of the disc. You can see this is the L4. You can see the cut going right through the L4 articular process here. Except notice where the cut goes first. It cuts just through the tip here of L5. So there's the tip of L5. That's called the superior articular process. Right and left superior articular processes. And this is still L4. This is the lamina of L4. The pars would be in here. Not very well seen on this view though. Spinous process. So this whole thing from here to here is called the posterior arch. Posterior arch. You want to see the pedicles? Okay. Well, maybe it doesn't go up that high. It doesn't go up that high. How about let's see the pedicles of L5. Okay. Here's the stubby little pedicles, very short. Okay, super short pedicles. I can still make out the thecal sac here. Let's go look at the pars, how about? So we need to go down to here to see the pars. How come that pars looks so good? I thought there was a fracture here. That must be the left pars interarticularis. Let's go down, let's see how far we go. And let's prove that's the left pars. I'll put a left click over on the left side. And sure enough, I was at the left pars. There's a cut through the left kind of hypertrophied pars from that stress shielding. Okay, so that one's great. But you can already see a huge problem here. And so this is deformed. This is a one cut. So this is not a perfectly flat cut like this. This thing is dipping down. It's not that it's not absent. It's just we don't see it. Watch if I go down a cut. See how it pops up? It's just anomalous. It's grown not as a straight piece of bone. It's all crooked. But you can clearly see between these there's definitely a fracture here. Okay, but to confirm that, now let's go over, let me blow this up. Now let's go over and look. This is the right or left pars. Let's go look at the right pars. So I left click over here. So my line is going to show up and we're going to march the line that way. So here we go. Okay. So we're in the center now. And now here we come to the pars, and you can clearly see it's fractured. See it there? Check this one out above. Solid as a rock. So you can see it in this cut, that cut. And it's starting, that's not a fracture there, it's just we're starting to get out we're getting out so far you're losing the articular process. We're just lateral to it. So that's not a fracture. That's where this can get a little confusing sometimes. But you can clearly see where the cut line is confirming it's going right through there. And on this free version, sometimes these lines are off a little bit. Okay, so that was the original pars, and it's something he was born with. Or he was born with a weakness, and he fractured it playing sports, which is about 7% of kids that happens to. Gymnastics, American football. Cricket is notorious. The pitchers, or what are they called? The fast bowlers, I think they're called in cricket. Hammer throwers, discus throwers, very high rate of fractures of these things. I think I have a video on that too if you're interested. Okay, so there's the original fracture. Let's go look at the new CT scan. Now the new CT scan, we don't have all the bells and whistles. All they did not do, I don't know why, they should have, but they didn't do a sagittal. All we have is the overhead view, so that's all we're going to be able to see. But let's go check it out. Right, and I'll probably block some of this, so I'll have to block out his name. Okay, so this is 7/25, 2017, and it's a really economical, I don't want to say cheap, but I mean, come on, you got somebody suffering a 2-level fusion. Why in the heck wouldn't you do? Why wouldn't you do all the images? I don't understand sometimes. All right, so let's play with the contrast. There's the contrast button, so we can get it let's get down more to bone. Make it a little darker because we're interested in seeing uh, the pedicle screws here. Now we're up high, so I'm not gonna. The cut lines won't work here, right? Because there's no sagittal image. But well, let's start from the bottom. That's easiest to start. So here's the sacrum way down here. You can see the SI joints. We're going to do this the old school way. So we're probably at the second sacral level here. They went down pretty far. So there's the SI joints. I don't see any erosion here. These are fine. Let's start working our way up. Oh, look what we see here. There's the trademark of our surgeon. He likes to extend screws into places they shouldn't be. So this screw is extending very close to this vessel too. You can see the blood vessels, right? Look at all the different blood vessels here. So it's a whole bunch of iliac arteries and veins, and they have branches off them. So, boy, I sure don't like that. Okay, so we're going up. Let's see when we come to the L5 disc space. So here's the bottom set of pedicle screws through the ala of the sacrum. Okay, let's see how they do. You see how we can see how the screws go? So not too shabby. They just extended too far here, too close to blood vessels for my liking. I can live with that though. Well, I don't know. Let's go up. Now we're coming to L5. Here's the psoas muscle. See the big psoas shadow? So right here. So we got these would be the internal arteries, iliac arteries and veins here. And keep your eye on that one. That's the one that's going to give us trouble. Okay, so here comes the screws. Oops, we saw those screws already. Now, down is up, so my keys are backwards. That's why it's giving me a little trouble here. But let's look at the screw. So here's the pedicle screw. You can see it coming through here, right? There's the head of it. And now we can see, let's see if it even got through the pedicle. Yeah, so see, the pedicles are huge down here. This one's a little outside, but it's pretty much through. The place you got to watch out for is right here. See, those are the traversing S1 nerve roots. That's the Mickey Mouse. If you read my video, that's the Mickey Mouse. And there's the thecal sac. Mickey Mouse is here. So you don't want pedicle screws, but you don't want pedicle screws. See the root right here? That's the nerve root from above. Now let's see what happens to these. Okay, so look at this. See the blood vessel right here? It's probably internal iliac vein. Look at that. Poking right into it. Remember, this is a 1 millimeter cut. That's definitely pushing into that vein. That's why it's the vein. At least the vein's a little squishy. If that was an artery, that would be really, really bad. But it's still bad in my opinion. In fact, look at I didn't even notice this one. Look at this one. Here's the other one. Those should be the arteries. Those are the internal iliac arteries, I believe. And these would be the internal iliac veins right here because they're bigger and squishier. And look at this one. This one's even worse. I didn't even show you in the other one. Watch the screw. Boom. It's right there. Right into it. In my opinion, needs a second opinion very, very quickly because I'm really worried that he's going to get a bleed from this thing. Although it's been 2.5 years and he's still doing okay, but well, at least it's not the arteries. I'm pretty sure these are the arteries up here. That would be really bad if it was the arteries. Anyway, let's see. Now, here's the other thing. Let me blow this up. Okay, so here's the exiting nerve roots, or the traversing roots right here. They've already budded out. Pedicle screw's fine here, but look at this has been 2.5 years. This thing hasn't even healed. What does that tell me? That tells me there's still motion. when he's moving around, when Bill's moving and twisting and doing things, there's still movement in here keeping that crack. It's like a fracture where you never that never heals. So that could be a source of chronic low back pain. That and it tells me that this fusion has failed. And it also makes me very suspicious that he's unstable. Okay, let's keep marching our way up. I still can't believe those pedicle screws are sticking out like that. Anyway, maybe some surgeon will see this and let me know that from another country. I never see this in this country, I'll tell you that. And I do a lot in Europe. Anyway, enough of that. Let's go up and see. So let's reset here. So there's the fracture. Still there. There it is, right there. Still fractured. And let's go up now. Okay, there's the body of L5. So through the pedicle. At least he's hit the. So at least he's through the darn pedicle here. So that's a good thing. Let's keep going up and see what happens. So here's the L4 disc, and now we're at the L4 level. You can already see there's the IVFs. You can already see something crazy. What's that thing sticking way out there? Shouldn't see that yet. It's a pedicle screw that's way out of place. Look at here it comes into focus. Look at that. He or she, I don't know who did this. Here's the pedicle right here. I don't have my drawing tool set, but you can see my hand. There's the pedicle. Right? Here's the target. This one's not bad. At least he's in the pedicle over here. This one's way out of, it's not even close. So that's ridiculous. So you got the L3 nerve root coming down. Right? L3 nerve root. Let's see. It should be like right in this region in here. Let's see if I can even see it. It should be something. An MRI we can see it, but don't get a good picture of it. But boy, it's sure off the mark. So that pedicle screw, it's going through kind of the transverse where the root of the transverse process comes in. So that could be a source of back pain as well. But sure not stabilized. And here's that attempt at fusion. See all the fusion material here? That should be, this is 2.5 years. This should be one mass. It should look like this. This should all be welded together. And over here as well. So this is, there's a little bit of bone. Here's a little bit more. But it's still, it's failed. It's failed fusion. You can see these black lucent lines through here. It hasn't turned into bone. Here's a crossbar here. So there's a little under there. Let's keep following it down. See, it didn't take. There's huge spaces between it. And down here, it looks like I don't even see any attempt to even fuse down here. I guess there's a little bit here. There's a one there. But this is an example of a horribly failed fusion, in my opinion. And he needs to have a revision done. And I sure would prefer, I don't know, with all the travel stuff nowadays, I don't know where it can go, but I think Germany would probably be the best bet for him. Okay, do I need to say anything? Let's go over his MRI real quick. All right, let's get his MRI. All right, so same deal. Find that looks like a sagittal, and this is a really, not a very good MRI. It's like 1.5 Tesla, I think. It might even be an open MRI. But that's okay. We can still see what we need to see. Split the screen. There's T1 I can see. Let's get a T2 up here. Split that. He's got some cyst. He asked me about this thing. He's got some type of cyst, it looks like. So I officially told him he should get that checked. He should probably have an ultrasound. We can run that by his primary doctor to see what that is. Because there's the abdominal aorta right here, or where thoracic aorta is still up here. There's the vena cava right there. There's your kidneys, and not sure. Don't usually see something like that there. See kidney cysts all the time. It would be on the right side, close to the gallbladder, I wonder. Anyway, that's where radiologists shine. So I'm going to defer him to the radiology report. My expertise is in spine generators. So let's pull this open. I have no idea how much time we've spent. I want to try not to make this too big. So again, to get your bearings, here's the stomach. Here's your butt down here. Here's your back. Here's where the fusion came through. You can see all the scar tissue here. Here's L5, L4, L3, L2. Discs still look pretty good. Sacrum here. Now you can see the cauda coming down here. You can see it just gets disrupted here where that area of moderate to severe stenosis is. And as I said in the last part, you can see an HIZ sign, which is often indicative of an annular tear. Doesn't always mean it's painful, though. There's people who have annular tears and they're not painful. We don't know why some of them can be so painful and some of them aren't. But there's some research that shows if you go on to do discography, about 85% of the people will have concordant pain who have these things. And that turns out to be the meeting point of a concentric tear with a full thickness radial tear. That's what that turns out to be in some papers anyway. All right, let's bring our cut line down. The technologist gets a star. See how the orange line jumps and it stays down the plane of the disc? So radiologist or the technologist gets an A plus. A lot of times MRI centers get lazy and they don't give you a nice cut down the plane of the disc, and it can make it very difficult to look at things. Look for pain generators. All right, let's close this up. It's the last one we're going to look at. All right, so here's a cut through the 543. This is through the L2 disc. You know that now. There's the nucleus. This is the axial view. Here's the annulus fibrosus made up of about 20 lamellae. There's those vessels we talked about already, psoas muscles. Multifidi muscles are here. There's the erector spinae muscles would be out here. Right, there's a thecal sac, not a very good quality MRI, but you can see the thecal sac. You can see the nerve roots hanging out in there. There's the facet joints right here. Superior articular process is here. Lamina, and there's ligamentum flavum, that black little V thing, which doesn't look too bad. Intervertebral foramen are here. Intervertebral foramen is here. Remember, this is the right side, this is the left side. So wonderful. Let's go down and see. See how we've lost color now? Let's go back up. See how big that is? You can see white cerebrospinal fluid. You can see the thecal sac. You can see the nerve roots hanging out. Now what's happened? It's squished bad enough that it squished can't even see the cerebrospinal fluid. And if I get my little handy dandy measuring tool out here, let's measure it again. Should not be under 10, right? 10 millimeters. Anything under 10 is stenosis, central stenosis. It's 7.06 this time. So definitely got central stenosis. In order to cause symptomatology of stenosis like neurogenic intermittent claudication, where you walk and your legs hurt and your butt hurts, you sit down, the pain gets better, then you stand up and it comes back, you really need to have two levels. I don't see any stenosis above or below. So I don't think this in and of itself is enough to cause his horrible low back pain. There is an annular tear. Let's switch over here. See the soap bubble? Let's blow that up. See the annular tear right in my little glass there? So that's a sign that the periphery of the disc, let's see if we can pick it up here actually. Not really, unless that's it right there. These are probably 4 millimeter cuts, way too big. But so he's got an annular tear. Won't explain. None of this explains that leg pain. He's got to be. To recap, what is causing his horrible leg pain? I need that flexion extension MRI or flexion extension X-ray study done to see if he's unstable. I suspect that he's unstable somewhere. That's the only explanation I could have. Now, for the right leg, I can totally explain it. The pedicle screw is right into the L3 nerve root. The L4 nerve root looks like it could be getting irritated as well by the pedicle screw being too far. So the pars fracture is still there. That can be a source of chronic back pain because the fusion failed to fuse anything. The only thing holding him together is the screws, and they won't be holding him together probably forever. They're going to break eventually. So that can cause back pain. The question is what's causing the left leg pain, and that I'm not 100% sure until I see that flexion extension study. All right, Bill, I hope that helped, and I hope somebody down below will help translate some of this stuff. Maybe you can, I know you'll show up, and maybe you can ask for help in your language, and hopefully someone can translate all this stuff. And remember, the most important thing is to get a second neurosurgical or orthopedic spine surgeon opinion on that pedicle screw that is clearly into the internal iliac artery. So I'm very, very worried about that more than anything else. And okay, so what if it is just they can't figure it out? You're stable. Let's say you do the flexion extension and you're stable. What's the answer? The next step, because your examination, your low extremity, and I'm not 100% sure of this, but it sounds like you have good motor power and your reflexes are there. You don't have foot drop or anything like that. You might be a good candidate for something called a spinal cord stimulator, which works pretty good for that type of pain. It's not going to probably help your low back pain much. You're going to have to get that fusion fixed to perhaps help that out. But for the leg pain, spinal cord stimulators are really almost miraculous for some people. If you have motor loss, if you have neurological findings in the lower extremities, they don't seem to work as well anecdotally. There's no research on that, but that's just from my experience. But you might want to get an opinion about a spinal cord stimulator and see what that can do for you. Okay, I hope that helped. Thank you for letting me share your story and your images on YouTube here. I'm sure some people will be very appreciative of that. And I really hope that you find an answer. Please keep us updated and let us know how this all turns out for you. Okay, bye bye.